coming up for you guys. I got a couple of updates to the build. First one is this one, a whole grand total 7 div cost, and showing that I can still do all content. It's pretty wonderful, and it has a lot of room to improve, but the fact that it can take out anything on 7 div is quite good proof that you don't need the best gear to make this build work. And then upcoming, I have a pretty massive update to the build, but that will be coming later. Howdy my dudes. So I finally put together the extreme budget version of this build. I'm pretty sure it was about 7 div for the entire thing combined. I took out all of my good jewels, including the Verona jewel, which I have just sitting in my inventory right here with the rest of my good gear. I have still this weapon because it is 1 div and I've been preaching it for a while. This one here I had drop. I had it for sale for 2 div for about a week now and it still hasn't sold, so that means it's about 1 div. This belt I got for about 35 exalt, 30 or so exalt. 1 div for this chest was the most I spent on any other gear. This was literally 1 exalt. This was like 20 or 30, and these rings were literally just sitting in my 15 exalt tab here for the longest time, or maybe even the 10. Yeah, they're sitting in my 10 exalt for the longest time and they never sold. So I just rolled them. I'm really surprised this one never sold, but nobody touched it. Same thing with this guy, had some decent attributes with the big all res. Not really that big, but you know, enough. And so now I got my cold and fire damage. For the mapping portion of this video, I did not even have any jewels in, but then for the breach part I had to add some jewels that I just took from my inventory in the 10 and 15 tabs that were not selling, and so then I just corrupted them and hope for the best. I was surprised that this one here had been sitting for that long, but to be fair, this one was only crit chance at the time. I hit it with a alt orb and got maximum energy shield and corrupted it. So this could have been really nice for an adorned setup, but it did not hit, unfortunately. The only thing I kept from my jewels was this controlled metamorphosis, so that way I could keep the same thing on the tree, but legitimately, I think this is 2 or 3 divine right now, and it was 1 when I bought it. So overall, let's just say 1 divine for all these jewels, plus 1 divine for the controlled metamorphosis, and then 3 more for this, so you're at 5 plus the rest of the gear, 6 on this chest piece, and all of these combined were about another divine for 7 divine total on this build. For my skills, I made sure to keep everything 5 slot. I did not add a 6 slot to anything to prove that it will definitely work, but because I did not have an unset ring, I unfortunately had to go back to using this with sacrifice for the boss, but for the absolute majority of the time I just ran with Herald of Ice, Herald of Thunder for all the mapping, and then Elemental Evocation with Eye of Winter to nuke the boss down faster, because it works really well when your damage is limited. And yeah, the skill tree is literally the exact same as what I've been showing in all my other videos. The tech is all the exact same. I had initially thought I was going to make a update version of this for my normal build, but the normal one literally is already being covered by showing the updated dual charge tech, so there's no point in that. But there will be a super update coming soon after tomorrow's lovely stream, and I'm looking forward to that. Now, how the build works, again, it's the same thing. Tempest Flurry with Rage, Primal Armament, and Overcharge and Martial Tempo to get all the good supports off. Your Charge Staff is getting the Electrocute off. Your Tempest Bell is using Potential Immolate, Concentrated Effect, and Rising Tempest. I do not have minions, so I cannot use Minion Pact. And I thought that I may have mana issues, so I did put Close Combat. I ended up not having mana issues, so I could have put that in for a little bit more damage. Charge and Fusion Combat Frenzy, obviously Grim Feast for mapping. I would swap Grim Feast for Sacrifice. Profane Ritual with all the same, as I explained in the previous video. Herald of Thunder with all the same. Herald of Ice with all the same for the dual Herald tech. And again, on the boss, I took out Herald of Ice for Elemental Invocation just to be safe and to prove that it absolutely worked. It would all be very easy to do with an unset ring, but I just wanted to grab what I had in my inventory that I knew was like literally 10 exalt. The most currency I spent on this build was on the quality for the cold mods and the attribute mods for my rings and amulet, and those I already had in my catalyst tab, so it ended up costing me nothing. It just costs a few breaches to do yourself. But if I were to actually pay for them, it would have been probably about a div in catalysts. Not much at all. I still managed to get capped res on this low budget, and I still got very, very respectable attributes at nearly 300 per. 309 int, which is a terrible breakpoint, 289 dex, which is another terrible breakpoint, and 276 strength. If I had just upgraded my one Dusk Breach ring a little bit more to 50 quality, this would be even stronger. The purpose of this video was definitely to make sure that you know that this is not only working because of income, this is working because the build works. The synergy is there, and if you know what you're looking for, you can make it work dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. Subscribe if you want to, don't if you don't. Anyways, thanks for coming by. Bye, guys. Yeah, if I had 10 divine, this is how I would build it and play it.
Fury unleashed!
No, I probably should have balanced my attributes. Like the 309 int isn't doing anything. Oopsie. Yeah, if I got one more all attributes, it would have been so much better. I guess I should probably put this back on. Swap this for this. And because it's so scuffed gear, so scuffed everything, I'm actually going to put this on. Apparently they made it so that you can't teleport in boss fights anymore. That's funny.
We that dreamed, we in nightmare, we that are one, we tire. I cannot.
Oh, wrong button, that's why, of course. So yeah, as you can see, it definitely still works 100%. Definitely not as good as having amazing gear. Not as survivable without the Verona Jewel. But it's all definitely still doable.